This video is sponsored by Raycon. Stay tuned for a seamless ad transition later in this video. Yes, the rumors are true. I have quit decluttering, but it's not exactly by choice, and we should talk more about that. Well, hello friends, I'm Mary Beth and welcome to At What Cost. Yes, I sort of quit decluttering, but it's not entirely my fault. We have had a lot going on, but if you are new to this train wreck here, welcome aboard. And I want to go over just a little bit of history and catch some folks up and talk more about why I quit decluttering and how we're going to get back on track. So, about 9 years ago, my husband and I adopted 3 boys through foster care. Yes, they're all full siblings. Yes, we had 3 at once. No, we are not crazy. Not completely. Fast forward to 2019, in the midst of a full-blown household management crisis, I discovered Dawn from the Minimal Mom, who is now a good friend. I just love her. I know you love her too. At the same time, we began a series in our church that totally changed the way I thought about our personal belongings, our household management, and how my faith related to those things. I have got lots and lots of videos on my faith and minimalism, and I will link a couple of those playlists down below. I realized that although we were making these changes in our home, there were some really serious heart changes happening as well, which led to wanting to share more about this here at What Cost. So in January of 2020, I started this YouTube channel and it has been rolling along ever since. I did start decluttering earlier than that. I started in like mid to early mid 2019. So I had decluttered about half of our home at that point before I ever even turned on a camera. But through that first part of 2019 and all the way through 2020, and we all know what happened in early 2020, we decluttered about 80% of the belongings in our home and 2 storage units that we had that were just filled to the brim. Managing our home was easier. Managing our household in general was much easier. We were saving on groceries because I was not having to eat out all of the time. I was meal planning. We had gotten into a really good routine. And then we had a lot of crisis. We had so much crisis. Our crisis has not stopped. So in late 2021, both my dad and my father-in-law passed away, and then we just continued to have wave after wave after wave of crisis. It has seemed pretty much never ending since then, whether it was broken bones, more bouts of COVID. Most recently, 2 of our boys were both diagnosed with epilepsy in the last year and a half or so. So our oldest son had a seizure. He had a couple of seizures. We spent a couple of days in the hospital. They diagnosed him almost an entire year, almost to the day. Later, our middle son also started having seizures. That has not been such an easy road to diagnose. In fact, it has taken from late August until actually about 2 weeks ago to really fully understand the extent of his epilepsy and get things under control. But they are now. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. We're getting the epilepsy under control at our house. Now, this is on top of the sort of special needs that we do face with our boys. All 3 of our boys are somewhere on the spectrum. Some are a little bit more comprehensively on the spectrum than others. And our 2 older boys have some other disabilities. They have intellectual disability and some other things happening. So as you can imagine, things in our home can be kind of stressful sometimes. It can hit us pretty hard. So decluttering and managing our home was such a better way for us to manage the things that didn't really need as much of our attention so that we could focus on the things that really do need our attention. But in that crisis time, things just completely went off the rails. Now, it was very slow. It's not like it all happened overnight and we've had this huge whoosh of stuff coming back into our house. That's not the case. But I have noticed, especially recently, I'm starting to do that shuffle where, things are on the countertop and then they move over to the table and then they move over to the spare bedroom. And it just never actually seems to get caught up. I know you have been in this kind of routine too. And I think when these waves of crisis just keep hitting and hitting and hitting, we don't have the kind of mental time that we need to recover or the physical time. Crisis can be very tiring on the body. Now, the one thing that I have maintained through this entire process is my quiet time. And one of the best ways that I do that is with Raycon's everyday earbuds. Okay, so let's talk about these earbuds. They are the Raycon everyday earbuds. I got them in black with the Ocean Waves protective case. They're currently available for $79.99, and that price gets even better when you go to buyraycon.com/atwhatcost for 15% off when you use the code atwhatcost at checkout, which in the world of earbuds is incredibly affordable. And with their try it first 30-day happiness guarantee, you can return them for a 100% refund if you are not satisfied with them. No matter what I'm doing, whether it's folding laundry or doing dishes, watering my flowers, whatever it is that I'm doing, the fit is just phenomenal. And they just blend right in. Like, they're not huge. There's nothing like hanging down. I really love the look of these, and they do come in multiple colors, so you don't have to just do black. I think there's green and a really pretty lavender color. I have loved these so much. I may pass these on to my husband and get another pair for myself. And so with 8 hours of full charge, these everyday earbuds totally got me through my work day. And even when I had used them all day and drained the batteries, I was able to utilize the quick charge function, and I got another hour and a half in just 10 minutes of charging, which was really great at the end of the day when I wanted to clean up my kitchen after my kids had gone to bed, and I just wanted to tune everything out, do the dishes, and rock out to some sweet jams. So I highly recommend these Raycon everyday earbuds, and I want to send a thank you to them for sponsoring this video and sending me these everyday earbuds. Please check out the description below for a discount, and you can also find it in the comments. So thank you, Raycon, for sponsoring this video and really helping a lot with my quiet time. Seriously though, quiet time has been one of the only things that is keeping my faith growing despite all of the frustrating circumstances, the ups, the downs, all of it. The exhaustion, quiet time has been really helpful in maintaining my faith. That and our just getting by routines. So things like laundry, dishes, like just the essentials to keep our house clean and somewhat presentable and keeping me just a little sane. But I don't want to keep doing the countertop, table, spare bedroom shuffle the rest of my life. I don't want for my house to keep getting overrun. In fact, we're changing out the seasons here in Georgia, and my kids just got a bunch of hand-me-downs from a friend. Everything is washed, sorted, ready to go, but there's so much stuff still in their dressers. I can't even move that stuff in there. So it feels like a time that I would need to be doing this big purge, but I just cannot quite get there. Whether it's just being very busy at work or things happening at church, stuff happening with our kids, it just seems that the time that I would have spent doing these massive hour-long decluttering sessions to really get my house back is just not happening. So what can we do about it? Because let me tell you, friend, I don't think the crisis is going to stop. I think it's just going to keep rolling. At least that's what I feel like I have to plan for. I don't want to get caught up in this, well, when we can just get through this one circumstance, then I can do these things. Because I don't know when that's going to happen. It could be like this forever, which is something I like to say, is that it won't always be like this. And it won't. Jesus is going to come back again, and it won't be like this all the time. But for now, it may be. It may actually kind of be like this for a lot longer than I want it to be. I have 6 quick tips that I think are really going to help at least kick off this mindset that it doesn't always have to be like this, or at least to stop this like countertop table shuffle. So the first is to keep the routines that are working. Now I have 3 main routines that are just saving my house right now: laundry, dishes, and meal planning. These are the 3 big ones for me. If I can keep these routines going, they really help to at least stay on top of the things that we need every day. Like Everybody's going to need clean undies. Everybody. Okay. And we got to have dishes to eat off. Do we utilize paper plates? Sometimes. Sometimes my kids eat cereal out of a solo cup because it is just that kind of a day. And that is all right, friend. When you are in crisis, these things are okay. And my meal planning. Now, I have that down to a T now, and I will share that in an upcoming video. It may be 5 months from now, but I will share it at some point, I promise. Number two, go back to the pain points. Now, what is a pain point? So early on in my decluttering journey, I listened to all kinds of decluttering experts, people who were like, start in the visual places, start in your kitchen, start with your laundry, start here, start there. And none of it ever actually worked until I decided that I was going to start where things were hitting me the hardest, and that was laundry. What is the task, or maybe 2 or 3 tasks, that are happening in your house that are eating up the most time or mental energy? That was what really got me, was the mental energy. It didn't necessarily take up as much time, but it was something that I was constantly thinking about, feeling defeated over, just always looming over me. And that was laundry. I had way too much stuff. My kids had way too many outfits that they could go through before I would actually have to wash clothes. Then, when I would wash clothes, we would have, this is not an exaggeration, up to 14 loads of laundry that could be dirty at any one time in our home. Yes. So I always had laundry hanging around somewhere. I couldn't sit on the couch that was in this beautiful sitting room that we had because it was full of laundry. My kids couldn't find the clothes that they needed because all of their stuff was in a laundry basket somewhere. It was just overwhelming. And I never could ever feel settled or caught up on laundry. So that was a huge pain point for me. Did anybody ever see my laundry? No, it wasn't in the most visible place in my home. It certainly wasn't in the kitchen. That was a line I drew. Okay. But our laundry room's upstairs. I have had kitchen table laundry. I understand sometimes that's where it ends up. But I started with my pain point, which was laundry. Then I moved on to the next one, dishes. If there are 5 cups for every person to choose from, guess how many dirty cups I would have in my sink? All of them. Didn't matter. It didn't matter. If they had pulled out a cup to get a drink of milk, they would take that, they would use it, they would set it down on the counter, and then the next time they got thirsty, they would go and get another cup. Any cup, all of them, they would just all be dirty all of the time. And then I was constantly running the dishwasher, and we never seemed to have enough dishes. So I would buy more things, and it just became this self-feeding issue, which was very similar to the laundry, by the way. When everybody's running out of underwear, my first thought was, we must need more underwear. 42 pairs. That was how many one of my kids had. Yes, 42 pairs. So go with your pain points. Why are they pain points? Because they're like time suckers. They're like mental energy, like black holes. They just take all of our energy, and we don't have time to do any decluttering anywhere else because we're just constantly thinking about this stuff. So if you feel like you're shuffling from the counter to the table to the spare bedroom, if you just can't get caught up in laundry, it may be that these are pain points that you need to look at. Go back to the pain points, get those under control, and then see what kind of time you have left over. Now, something that has been incredibly helpful over the last couple of years, it has not been incredibly effective overall in my home, okay? I just want to keep that in mind. It's not incredibly effective overall, but from day to day, it has been incredibly helpful to declutter where I can. So, in my laundry room, for example, I had an empty Tide box. I grabbed the box, and anything that was sitting in there, I had to throw the box away anyway. Anything that was sitting in there that I didn't need, that I wasn't using, I just grabbed it all real quick and into the trash it went. Which brings me to the next point. If we are in crisis, this is not the time to try and find the perfect decluttering donation home. I know it's important. I know we want to do good things for the earth. We want to be responsible with our items. And I totally agree and totally understand that first go round with things. I spent a lot of time figuring out where things could go and what the best option would be. But now in crisis, sometimes you just have to throw things away. Now, when I clean my kids' clothes out, when we get back, we're currently on vacation. Yay, we're going to talk about that one in just a minute. But when we get back and I clean all of their clothes out and we get ready for summer, I'm going to bag all of those up and I'm going to send them off either to a friend who I know will be able to use them, or my favorite place to donate kids' clothes is a foster care closet. So those kinds of things, I already have a system in place. But if I have this like box of stuff that's really meaningful and I need to find a certain home for it, it may not be the easiest thing for me to do, and it's going to take up a lot of my time, and I'm going to end up going back around to a pain point, and I'm not going to get anything done. Sometimes we just got to throw stuff out, and it will be okay. It will be okay. None of it's going to last forever anyway. Number 4. No, that's probably number 5. Doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. Don't stop having people over. We have continued to host our home group twice a month throughout this entire time of crisis. Why? One, because my family will 100% pitch in and help clean up this house if they know people are coming over. It's harder to get into the mood to do those things on an ongoing basis, but when we know people are coming over, everybody's ready to chip in. So, is it dual purpose? Yes. It helps keep my house just a little bit cleaner. And 2, I need that life-giving time. I need friends to be in our home. I need to remember why I enjoy our home so much, why I enjoy having people over. I need the refreshment of fellowship with other close friends, believers, people who are not going to judge me because my home is not perfection. I need that life-giving fellowship to just keep going when things are getting really hard. Now, the next one, take a vacation. Just take a vacation. It's harder for us to want to take a vacation. It takes a lot of mental energy to plan vacations, but take it anyway. It's a good perspective change. It's a good way to get out of your home, look at your home differently than you did before, and see it with fresh eyes. It also gives us a little bit of distance from some of those things that may have been sitting on the countertop that we have developed this sort of like everyday blindness to. When we come back into our homes refreshed and relaxed and away from things, we see things a lot differently and it may be easier to get rid of stuff. Now, the last tip that I have is not really so much of a tip as it is like a maybe we can do this together kind of thing. I would like to develop some type of routine around decluttering during crisis. My time and tasks are kind of like goldfish, like they expand. Goldfish will expand and grow to the environment that they're in. So my tasks will just continue to grow if I do not delegate specific time to doing these things. So if I'm not intentional about actually decluttering, maybe setting a calendar reminder or setting some type of routine so that I can regularly declutter. And I'm not talking about long spans of it. I mean, I would have 3 and 4 and 5 hour decluttering marathons in those early days of decluttering. I would pull everything out of a room and only put back what mattered and deal with all of the rest of the stuff. Like I had a lot of bandwidth to do that. And that worked for a season. But now I definitely need short bursts of decluttering to be completely ruthless, but I got to have a routine around it. Routines help me stay in the right direction in the long run. They're just little course corrections all along the way so that when I'm faced with a choice of Do I do this or do I do that? I know that my routines are a great place for me to fall back on. I already know it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm washing kids' clothes. It's Tuesday, Thursday, I'm doing towels and sheets. So I can keep moving in the right direction when I rely on my routines. I want to set up a routine around decluttering in crisis, specifically in crisis. So if you have any suggestions, if you have anything that has worked for you, I would love to hear about them in the comments below. Thank you again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and until I see you again, keep fighting the good fight.